Congresswoman Chavez-DeRemer, we have a question here about the lessons learned from Oregon's Measure 110 drug decriminalization law. However, this was decided at a state level. Your federal position had no input. Instead, we want to focus on lessons learned. What lessons, including mistakes, have you learned in the past 2 years in Congress?
Oh gosh, well, listen. The more we talk, maybe we won't hear. The more we listen, we really can learn from other colleagues across the aisle and other parts of the country that might be experiencing or sharing some of the same issues that we have to coalesce around to get policy forward decisions made. That takes hard work. You know, it's easy to side with one side or the other. What's not easy is to work against the tide, to make sure that you're being focused, that you're talking to your leadership. But you know, the Measure 110 is important to the federal level. Why? Because we want to make sure we're being supportive. Closing that southern border affects all Americans. Having more than 10 to 15 million people come unvetted affects Oregonians and all Americans. So it is important to me. And Measure 110 was a failed experiment that I would not want to share with anybody, with any other state in the nation, because it was a failed experiment. Can we do better? Yes, we can. But she hasn't done better. 10 years almost in the legislature, and Oregonians are less safe,
exactly how long I've been in the
unaffordable.
Legislature because I beat you twice.
And with that, and with that win,
let's move on.
and with that win,
let's move on.
She squandered it. She did not use her ability to do better for Oregonians. Oregonians are
Biden,
less safe and unaffordable here in Oregon.
Bynum, the rest of this question is addressed to you. This question actually comes from the readers of the bulletin. The original version of Measure 110, which you supported, has been widely considered a failure and acknowledged as such. Both sides of the aisle are working together to change it. What did you learn from Measure 110 and its aftermath about the consequences of sweeping legislation, and how would you bring that lesson to Congress?
Well, I think it's actually an Oregon issue. So number one, systems need to be in place when you pass a bill. I worked to make sure that mental health providers were in place. I had a $80 million or so bill to grow the number of mental health providers. I also, again, did the town hall, reaching out to people in the community, finding out what was a challenge for them and how we could actually improve things. But the particular feature here of the issue is of critical importance to understand. This was a measure put to the people from an outside source. That is a function of our Constitution and how citizens can bring forth issues to put before the voters. So the lesson learned here is making sure that as we consider things that citizens put forth, that we have the structures and infrastructure in place, and that we make sure that we're constantly evaluating that over time. And if things aren't working, we should not be afraid to cut bait and readjust quickly, which is what we did.